Welcome to Organizational Communication for Summer 2. This is going to be a first crack at this course on online, so we're going to go over the syllabus. It should be a relatively straightforward little MP4, and hopefully it's easy to download for everybody. We'll look first at the first page, and obviously my name is Dr. Daryl Farmer. If you want to contact me, the best way is probably going to be email. My email is listed there and on the syllabus page, but it's my last name, farmerd@hsu.edu. I'm going to have a pretty quick turnaround, being that this is an online course, but it's best to be fair to me to give me about 24 hours in order to try to reply to you. I'll get back with you as soon as possible, but if there's any snags or we're going to be a little bit of extra time, 24 hours should be a good enough turnaround before I'm able to respond to you. You really need to have the course textbook at this time. It's by Bowman and Deal. I'm asking you to get the 4th edition. It's a really important part that you don't get any of the earlier or later editions. The later editions are both more expensive, and in addition to being needlessly more expensive, some of the material has changed a bit. And everything that we're going to cover from the lectures to the test is all from the 4th edition. The HSU bookstore has supplied the 4th edition, and also it's available on Amazon.com for under $30. So if you don't have your hands on that book, you need to get a hold of it ASAP in order to be able to cover the course material. We'll be doing everything through Angel. We've yet to switch over to Blackboard. We're hoping that next semester we'll be able to do courses like this on the Blackboard system, which I find a lot easier. But for the moment, we're hamstrung by Angel, and I don't think it's going to be that bad. You'll need some form of a word processor of some sort. I use Microsoft Word. I know that OpenOffice and some other free options are available if that is not already loaded to your computer. That being said, some of the first page is just pro forma. It's mostly listed from the actual department's website about what the mission statement and role of this particular course is going to be about. Where I think the most important thing is the general objectives for what I'm hoping you're able to get out of this class. I hope that you're able to wrap your head around how organizations function in a day-to-day life, how organizations are a greater part of your life than you might think about, and hopefully expand the way that you understand not only how organizations work, but also what can constitute an organization, what part can you play in it, how your worldview about organizational behavior is right now. I'm hoping will be greater later, but at the very least it will give you some language to describe the behaviors, the techniques, the manner in which organizations behave and are influenced in ways that you can take part in such a communication-focused course, ways that you can manipulate strategically in order to try to get the best results possible based on the objectives that you set forward within an organization. My teaching philosophy will work relatively simply, even in an electronic forum, and that is as follows. Contact me before you have any trouble. If you are going to need to miss a deadline, if you are going to struggle in order to get a particular assignment done, I can probably be flexible to those things, but I need you to let me know before. Let me stress that it shouldn't be the day of. It certainly shouldn't be after the fact. Even if something comes up, hopefully no one encounters this during the course of the summer session, but if something comes up that is unexpected and difficult, and hopefully not, but tragic, you still typically carry around with you a cellular device that makes it very easy for you to be able to reach out. I don't expect for me to be the first email that you send or first contact that you have, but letting me know ahead of time makes it a lot easier to try to accommodate for you, to take a test at a different time, to post your descriptions at a different time, to post your replies at a different time. I'll be flexible to you, but you need to make probably adult is the wrong choice of words, but you need to be able to make the decision as a student that you're going to take it seriously and approach it in that way, so that you let me know beforehand, if at all possible, and the sooner the better. We don't have attendance, obviously, in an online course, so the way that I'm going to try to simulate attendance is a series of discussion and replies that we're going to talk about when we get to the assignment section, but that's going to constitute how we attribute participation, attendance, those sorts of things. Assignment due dates, I think I kind of covered that above, but the general gist of it will be as follows. If you miss any assignments, you're getting a 0. If you've warned me ahead of time and we've accounted for them, then you'll be able to have a shot at getting that assignment due to me at a different time. But I'm not going to be able to dance around a lot of due dates because of the electronic nature of this course. I'll figure out if it's an extreme situation how to be able to get you a test or how to be able to let you reply later, but certain things are going to open and close based on the dates that they're available, which we'll get to in the syllabus later, and those dates are pretty hard and fast. Professional courtesy is going to be a little bit different. This is normally a section of the syllabus where I talk about when people give presentations and speeches, we need to treat each other respectfully. Here, instead, what I'm hoping is that we get a mindset in which we're, since mostly it's going to be in a written form of communication, respectful in the written word. I'm asking people to give their own personal responses and to reply to one another, since you're going to be creating a discursive forum in which you're interacting in the written form. Just be kind to one another. Try to be as supportive as possible. I encourage and invite disagreement, but do so in both a tone and manner that is not only scholarly in its nature, but inclusive in terms of a classroom. We don't want anybody to leave with a sour taste in their mouth. I think that these assignments should facilitate that sort of behavior. I don't think we're going to have a problem with that, but that's the way that I think about professional courtesy. For cheating and plagiarism, if you were thinking about cheating, please don't. I ask you this because I think that it's incredibly honest to have academic honesty. And in terms of a online course, I think that academic honesty is probably going to come into play in a lot of different ways. It's going to be very easy for you to cheat, and I'm aware of this, and you have to have some of the honor system in place. You need to be able to make sure that you're doing the least possible skirting of the rules. You know that during the tests, they're not open book tests. You're not willing to thumb through at your leisure. Please try to take them as earnestly as possible. What I will say is that if any of the written material that comes over to me has been copied in any way and it hasn't been accurately attributed, I will fail you for that particular assignment, and I will be turning it in to the dean of the college and let him make the decision as to where to go and pursue it from here. I don't do so out of spite or to harm you in any way, but I think for everybody that's going at it honestly and making a best foot forward approach to not cheating, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and make sure that they're as supported as possible. Special circumstances, even though it's an online course, I still highly recommend that if you have anything that requires extra assistance or any disability through which I can provide you assistance for, let me know and we'll figure out what we can do. Whether it be extra time for tests, whether it be maybe more of a audiophile approach to the way that you're going to do some of the assignments, we'll be able to accommodate you. Just let me know after you've touched base with the Disability Resource Center, and they'll be able to let me know what accommodations you need, and we'll powwow and figure out what the best course of action is in order to make this class as easy and accessible for you as possible. Now for everybody's favorite, assignments. How are you going to be graded? First and foremost, there's going to be 4 different tests in this class. They're all going to be 100 points each. They're going to be uploaded through the Angel system. The course is broken into effectively 5 units. We'll go over each of the units whenever we get to that section of the syllabus. But when we're talking about the tests themselves, they're going to be administered through Angel. You get 1 shot to take the test. The test will come up, it's going to be 50 questions for every single test. Each of the tests are each of the questions for the test are going to be worth 2 points each. So 50 times 2 is going to be 100 for each one. We cover more chapters on the first test, and then after that we hit smooth sailing for 3 chapters at a time for each of the units. You will be required to do a lot of reading, and since we won't be able to meet in class, you can do that reading at any time. You can access the lectures at any time, and hopefully as you go through the units and you are engaging with the lecture material and the written discourse on the discussion forum, you're going to be able to not only enrich your understanding of the textbook, but you'll have gathered any questions they have for me before you take the test. In Angel, the test questions are going to come up one at a time. You'll select your answers. It's typically A through D or true false, and you'll go through, and then that will automatically post your final grade to the Angel gradebook, and we'll be using the Angel gradebook throughout the course. The discussion posts. You're going to give 1 response of 2 pages in length. What's a page in length? A page in length is typically 250 words, so I'm looking for 500 words for every response for each of the chapters that we read. We're going to cover a total of 16 chapters over the course of the semester. In addition, you're going to be required to post 2 responses to another student's response of 1 page, or 250 words, in length per chapter. What does that mean? You're going to see in the schedule, but basically by every Friday, you'll post your own personal response of 2 pages. In that personal response of 2 pages, you will react to the chapter. You'll talk about what you learned. You'll find something that you found interesting. You'll find something that spurred a question. Maybe your response post is generated around a question of sorts. We might go over response posts in greater detail if necessary, but that's what I'm looking for you to do, is to genuinely have some kind of response to each of the chapters that you're going to face. In your Angel site, you're going to see that under the lesson tabs, there's a discussion board tab, and then under each of the chapters, they're listed chapters 1, 2, so on and so forth. You'll click on that, and by Friday, you will be posting a response to every one of the chapters that are included in that unit. Now, from Friday to Sunday, you'll be required to have read other people's posts, and when you read those posts, you'll need to respond to 2 of them with 250 words or 1 page of a response. This will create the discourse in this class that will simulate a classroom environment, a classroom discussion. It's where you'll get to know one another a little bit, and it's also where you'll interact with one another. A very easy way that you'll be able to find responses to these posts is that your responses to somebody's reflection might be a question. They can then respond to you. That little bit of tennis back and forth is going to allow you to hopefully create avenues of discourse and enrich your understanding in ways that simply reading and taking tests is not going to do. We're going to have 1 paper for this course, the specific details of which are going to be clearly outlined in a post and given to you in a greeting rubric and assignment sheet I'm going to put up on Angel for you. So what does the breakdown look like for your grades? Since I can't give you pluses and minuses, Henderson is on a straight whole grade average. 100 to 90 is an A, 89 to 80 is a B, and so on and so forth. So 70s, 60s, 50s, and below, you'll be able to see the grading scale right there in front of you. I told you about how much the points would be worth for the test, but these are the total points in the classroom evaluated on a step-by-step basis. You're going to have 400 for the test. They're going to make up 50% of your grade, so you're going to be aware that those are incredibly important. However, you'll note here too that the discussion board is also going to be your greatest ally, because that's going to make up another 300 points out of your 800 points that you're doing for the semester. When you start doing percentage-wise, it really behooves you to be on top of those chapter responses. I did this because this will keep you up to date on the reading, and it will keep you interacting with one another. And insofar as you're doing that, I think you're achieving the objective of an online course and its derivative. Let's scroll down. What do the units look like? This is a proposed schedule. Now, I've kept you to a week-to-week basis since it's only a 5-week summer course. I've done this in hopes that we'll be able to keep up with the reading. The reading is front-loaded. You're going to read more in the first part of the semester than you read in the last part of the semester. And the reason for that is the first couple of chapters are pretty simple in terms of a glossary reading. If I were you, I would be able to skim that first chapter and feel like I'd gleaned a lot of what I was looking for, because it really is a preview chapter in terms of what you're going to be looking for. Like in every college classroom, you're going to need to make careful decisions about what is important to study and what is not important to study. As we start getting into the chapter-to-chapter analysis, the real test of what this book is all about is finding frames of analysis for organizations. The frames perspective offers you opportunities to look at organizations through different lenses. If you want to think of a frame as a lens, it's a way that tells you things that are good and things that are weaker about a particular organization. And it does that, I think, in really creative ways. And so the first chapter the first unit really goes chapters 1 through 5, but I didn't want to give you 5 chapters to read in that short of amount of time, so I extended it. Your tests are always going to be 1 unit behind, So you'll note that whenever we're talking about test number 1 here, test number 1 is going to be available to you from Wednesday, July 13th to Friday, July 15th. Take it at your leisure whenever you feel ready for the one time that you have available for you, and it's going to cover chapters 1 through 5. You'll need to have your response posts for 1 through 4 posted here when we talk about by Friday. What are the reply posts? The reply posts are those one-page, 250-word responses that you're going to have till Sunday to do. That gives you from Friday to Sunday in order to interact with people's response posts. That also keeps you honest. Other students are waiting to do the replies until you post your responses. So if you want to get these done early, nothing says you need to wait until these deadlines in order to do these things. Your replies likely will need to be in response to other people's responses. However, you can post your response posts whenever you have them completed and are ready to do so. Every unit has a certain symmetry to it in terms of the number of chapters. Once we get through the 4-chapter option, you're going to see that 3 chapters, 3 chapters, 3 chapters. You're also always going to see Friday responses due, Friday responses due, Friday responses due, with one exception. The 5th unit, we end on Thursday, August 4th, so I've made accommodations to make that Thursday. We'll get into those further accommodations when we drop down to Unit 5. All the tests are always going to be available Wednesday through Friday of each of the weeks so that you can plan your weeks accordingly and have the latitude to do what you'd like and flexibility to make the decisions about what you're going to do. And all reply posts are going to be due on Sundays. This should help you be able to plan a relatively simple schedule that fits into your life. You could have a full-time job and still accomplish everything that you need in this course. You could have a lot going on in your life and still be able to manage this workload. The difficulty and rigor of having an online course is that it requires you as the student in order to allocate your time more effectively than you might whenever we were having class on a day-to-day basis. Class keeps us all honest to a certain degree. Now it's on you in terms of allocating your time, but these deadlines will hopefully help you use them to organize yourself and I think keep a pace that's not going to be too rigorous. We'll go over in great detail the organizational paper, but that's going to be due during the Unit 4, which is going to be due in the 4th week of class, and it's going to be sent to me via an email attachment. That last week is going to be the only one that has any out of the ordinary things. We won't be able to have a test that is a week behind for these chapters. If I did have a 6th unit here, that would cover you for those chapters. So you're not going to be accountable in test form for those chapters, but you are going to be accountable for response posts. This test will be available for a couple of days extra, Monday through Thursday, and it will be over the previous chapters. Now, I did that because I wanted you to be able to have the maximum latitude to make the end of the semester work for you. You'll notice that the test that is the final test that you'll take is not cumulative. It is only over the new material, chapters 12 through 14. Finally, there are no reply papers that are due this unit. So you won't be doing reply posts because there's not simply enough time to fit in getting response papers on August 4th and then having replies that would be due in any manageable way. So that Unit 5 is relatively relaxed. It constitutes August 1st through 4th. If you have any questions about the syllabus, please feel free to contact me via email. I look forward to interacting with you all in a written communication, and if need be, we could find a time that works to try to speak electronically, perhaps on Skype or some other method to which, if you want face-to-face communication, we can manufacture. Look forward to a good semester, and I hope this has been relatively easy for you. Take care.